distinguished members of the House Democratic Caucus and the House Republican Conference, it's my high honor and distinct privilege to finally be able to welcome all of you to the 118th Congress. Let me just begin by thanking my good friend, Pete Aguilar, for his very generous words of introduction and for placing my name into nomination a total of 9 times. And I also want to thank my other colleagues from the Democratic Caucus for your generous words of nomination as well. Jim Clyburn, Catherine Clark, Ted Lieu, Dean Phillips, Joe Neguse, and Veronica Escobar. I also want to thank my colleagues, my friends in the House Democratic Caucus for your perseverance, for your strength, for your friendship, for your unanimity of purpose, and for your unanimous support. And I simply want to say that that showing of strength is not for any one particular individual. It will be a showing of strength throughout the 118th Congress, unanimity of purpose on behalf of the American people. Before I proceed any further, let me begin by acknowledging the distinguished gentle lady from the great state of California, the iconic, the heroic, the legendary Speaker Emerita, Nancy D'Alessandro Pelosi. And without question in my mind, Speaker Emerita Pelosi will go down in history as the greatest speaker of all time. Throughout her time in Congress, she's been a legendary legislator, a fabulous facilitator, and a no-nonsense negotiator. We know that Nancy Pelosi is a woman of faith, a loving wife, a mother of 5, a grandmother of 9, a defender of democracy, a voice for the voiceless, and a powerful champion for the children, the climate, Charm City, California, the caucus, the Congress, the country, and the Constitution. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for all that you have done. It's an honor to stand on your broad shoulders, as well as the shoulders of the great Steny Hoyer and the great Jim Clyburn, 2 consequential leaders in their own right. Now, the scripture says in Galatians, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Over the last 2 years, House Democrats, in partnership with President Biden and our colleagues in the Senate, have been hard at work on behalf of the American people, getting big things done. We passed the American Rescue Plan, saved the economy from a deep recession, put shots in arms, money in pockets, and kids back in school. We passed the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act to create millions of good-paying jobs, fix our crumbling bridges, roads, tunnels, our airports, our sewer and water system, our mass transportation systems, and ensure high-speed internet access in every single community. We passed gun safety legislation for the first time in 30 years that will save lives and make our communities safer. We passed the Chips and Science Act to bring domestic manufacturing jobs back home to the United States of America and ensure that our workforce has the skills to succeed in the 21st century economy. And we passed the Inflation Reduction Act to strike a dramatic blow against the climate crisis, set our planet on a sustainable trajectory forward, lower energy costs, strengthen the Affordable Care Act, lower health care costs, and drive down the high price of life-saving prescription drugs for millions of Americans. It was one of the most consequential Congresses in American history. President Biden gets the job done, and the D in Democrat stands for deliver. So over the next 2 years, over the next 2 years, as we begin this 118th Congress, let us continue to fight for lower costs. Let us continue to fight in this Congress for better paying jobs. Let us continue to fight in this Congress for safer communities. Let us continue to fight in this Congress to defend democracy. Let us continue to fight in this Congress to put and protect the public interest. Let us continue to fight in this Congress for economic opportunity in every single zip code. And let us continue to fight in this Congress for reproductive freedom. Because as Democrats, we do believe in a country for everyone. We do believe in a country for everyone, a country that provides for the poor, works for working families, makes sense for the middle class, stands up for senior citizens, innovates in the inner city, strengthens suburban communities, helps out the heartland, and revitalizes rural America. We believe in a country with liberty and justice for all, equal protection under the law, free and fair elections, and yes, we believe in a country with the peaceful transfer of power. We believe that in America, our diversity is a strength. It is not a weakness. An economic strength, a competitive strength, a cultural strength. Our diversity is a strength. It is not a weakness. We are a gorgeous mosaic of people from throughout the world. As John Lewis would sometimes remind us on this floor, we may have come over on different ships, but we're all in the same boat now. We are white, we are black, we are Latino, we are Asian, we are Native American, we are Christian, we are Jewish, we are Muslim, we are Hindu, we are religious, we are secular, we are gay, we are straight, we are young, we are older, we are women, we are men, we are citizens, we are dreamers. Out of many, we are one. That's what makes America a great country. And no matter what kind of haters are trying to divide us, we're not going to let anyone take that away from us. Not now, not ever. This is the United States of America, a land of opportunity. The fact that I'm able to stand up here today is another data point in that narrative. I was born in Brooklyn Hospital, raised in a working class neighborhood in Crown Heights, grew up in the Cornerstone Baptist Church, started off in the cradle roll department, somehow survived the violence of the crack cocaine epidemic, and wound up here in the United States Congress as the highest ranking Democrat in the House of Representatives. America, truly a land of opportunity. Government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So on this first day, let us commit to the American dream, a dream that promises that if you work hard and play by the rules, you should be able to provide a comfortable living for yourself and for your family, educate your children, purchase a home, and one day retire with grace and dignity. Let us commit on this first day to lift up the American dream for every single person in this nation. Now, I recognize that this is a moment of transition. As we transition from one Congress to the next, from one majority to the next, from a year of accomplishment to a year of ambiguity, a moment of transition. The American people, understandably, after the events of this week, recognize that the Congress is at a fork in the road and are asking the question, what direction will we choose? On this first day, I do not pretend to answer that question on behalf of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, but we do extend our hand of partnership to you and want to make clear that we extend and intend to try to find common ground whenever and wherever possible on behalf of the American people. Not as Democrats, not as Republicans, not as independents, but as Americans. But I also want to make clear that we will never compromise our principles. House Democrats will always put American values over autocracy, benevolence over bigotry, the Constitution over the cult, democracy over demagogues, economic opportunity over extremism, freedom over fascism, governing over gaslighting, hopefulness over hatred, inclusion over isolation, justice over judicial overreach, knowledge over kangaroo courts, liberty over limitation, maturity over Mar-a-Lago, normalcy over negativity, opportunity over obstruction, people over politics, quality of life issues over QAnon, reason over racism, substance over slander, triumph over tyranny, understanding over ugliness, voting rights over voter suppression, working families over the well-connected, xenial over xenophobia, yes we can over you can't do it, and zealous representation over zero-sum confrontation. We will always do the right thing by the American people. So let us not grow weary of doing good. for the American people will reap the benefit of the harvest if we do not give up. God bless you, God bless the House, and God bless the United States of America.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation as we are just going to be shifting gears, not necessarily away from politics, but just about person. We go from one black man to another. And this one is one that is certainly making history. We're talking about Hakeem Jeffries, who's the congressman out of New York, who has been elected and voted, or who was voted to be the leader of the House Democrats, as he is taking on the role of House Speaker after Nancy Pelosi has decided to step down, not in full from her role as House Speaker, but she still is, of course, going to be working in Congress. But this is opening the door for his historic major moment that you have a black man who is the leader of one of the national parties, both parties actually, and in this way. So we wanted to talk about the significance of this, and I couldn't think of anybody better to discuss this other than my brother Michael Imhotep of the African History Network. You can definitely check out his shows and, of course, the work that he's doing at the AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and so much that he brings to the table. So we're always happy to have him to talk about this great history-making moment. And so just let me know, Ariel, when we can get it. If we could play this video, this is going to be of Hakeem Jeffries, thanking, his colleagues for voting him in as the House Speaker, and more importantly, what he planned to do. So let's move forward. Let's play that video for me, please, Ariel, of the congressman.
Honor to stand before you today as the incoming House Democratic leader for the 118th Congress that will convene on January 3rd, and to be joined by my two good friends, amazing colleagues and partners, the incoming House Democratic Whip, Catherine Clark, and the incoming caucus chair, Pete Aguilar. I also want to convey my thanks to Speaker Nancy Pelosi, an extraordinary speaker for the ages, who has delivered so much for so many over such a significant period of time. Our caucus is better, our country is better, the world is better because of Speaker Nancy Pelosi's incredible leadership. I also want to thank our current House Majority Leader, Steny Hoyer, and our current House Majority Whip, Jim Clyburn. We look forward to finding opportunities to partner with the other side of the aisle and work with them whenever possible. But we will also push back against extremism whenever necessary.
Hakeem Jeffries, Representative Hakeem Jeffries, the first black man to hold the post of House Speaker. We got Brother Michael. Let's bring Brother Michael and Hotep back into the conversation. Brother Michael, we got you down, bro.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you loud and clear. Appreciate you. Brother Michael, what this, talk to us about the significance of this moment for Hakeem Jeffries and for the state of black politics, black political power. Is this something that you feel like Black America should be excited and celebrate?
I think we should be excited about it and celebrate for a moment, but we also have to understand that we have to understand politics, law, economics, and understand how to push an agenda. Hakeem Jeffries is brilliant. His uncle is one of my teachers, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, one of our Grandmaster Scholar Warriors. Mm-hmm. I know his brother as well. So I interviewed his brother on my show. So Hakeem Sekou Jeffries is brilliant. He was one of the one of those who administered the impeachment, one of Donald Trump's impeachment. I think it was the first impeachment. He's represented New York for years as a member of the House of Representatives. He's a member of the Congressional Black Caucus as well. He is the first African American to be House Minority Leader of either major political party.
Yep.
And what this will allow him to do is to put front and center issues that impact everybody, whether it's the economy, whether it's inflation, what have you. It would allow him to give him a platform to put front and center how this disproportionately impacts African Americans, and also how policies will disproportionately positively benefit African Americans. Now, just like with President Barack Obama, we can't just sit back and think one brother is going to whip all these white people's behinds. It doesn't work like that. Okay, that's not how the real world works. Okay, we have to understand the groundwork. We have to understand that we have to understand how politics works, understand law. We have to read the U.S. Constitution, understand how to push a political agenda, and understand that we have to leverage our economics to enforce our political agenda as well. If you look at what's taking place right now with student loan forgiveness, Republicans don't support student loan forgiveness. I heard so many people call into talk radio, call in the Reverend Al Sharpton show, post on social media, telling Joe Biden, saying all he has to do is sign an executive order. All he has to do is sign an executive order. Obviously, you've never been involved in writing an executive order. I actually have, for the city of Detroit. They had to do extensive legal research to make sure that Biden had the legal authority to do that. An executive order is not just signing a document. You don't understand dealing with the federal government. This is going to impact 43 million people. Well, guess what? It's tied up in court. So he did the executive order. They put out a 25-page document explaining their legal rationale of why Biden has the authority to do this based upon the 2003 HEROES Act. And Republicans have sued and tied it up, blocked it in court. Now it's going to the U.S. Supreme Court. So all the people who were saying all he has to do is sign an executive order, none of them saw this coming. None of those people weren't saying, wait a second, they have to make sure they're on legal grounds. That what happens when lawsuits are filed? This can go to the U.S. Supreme Court, and you got a 6-3 conservative Supreme Court. Okay, so this is why we have to once again, one brother ain't going to go in and beat all these white people's behinds. No, you have to understand how all this comes together. And unfortunately, many of us are playing the game of political football and don't know the difference between a first down and a touchdown and wonder why we're not scoring any points.
So that opens up the conversation. And I'm so happy that you mentioned that, Brother Michael. That opens up the conversation about tempering our expectations, right?
Yeah.
Because we do expect that Black folks get into these positions of power and that they're going to whip the system's ass, right? You know what I mean? And it doesn't work like that. What challenges do you foresee him, Brother Hakeem, having to face as he gets into this new role? Plus, it was reported by CNN that he plans on spending just 2 years in the minority before trying to become speaker himself after the 2024 election. So he's got his eyes set on the even bigger situation. So what challenges do you foresee him having to face?
Well, the reason why he has his eyes on being Speaker of the House of Representatives is because Democrats are anticipating taking back control of the House in 2024. After America sees how crazy Republicans are going to be for the next 2 years. Notice how they stopped talking about fighting inflation and fighting crime. And they're talking about investigating Hunter Biden's laptop. They're talking about investigating the origins of COVID-19 and Dr. Anthony Fauci. They want to investigate the investigators on the January 6th committee. OK, they're talking about all of these. They're talking about all these investigations. Notice how they stopped talking about. I thought inflation was the worst thing. Kevin McCarthy. They have not presented a plan to deal with inflation. They have not presented a plan to deal with crime. Okay, so one of his biggest problems is going to be with dealing with chaos, utter chaos from the Marjorie Taylor Greens, whose voices are going to be elevated, the Matt Gaetz, whose voices are going to be elevated, and there's going to be total chaos amongst Republicans, especially if Kevin McCarthy becomes House Speaker of the House of Representatives, because he's going to cut so many deals, because they're only going to probably have about a 4-seat margin, maybe 5-seat margin. And because you're going to have so many crazies there, you're going to have people like Louis Gohmert and Jim Jordan, things like this. He's going to have to cut so many deals, Kevin McCarthy. The Republicans are not going to be able to govern. Okay. Now, it will help Democrats in 2024. You're not going to be able to get a lot of bills passed with these crazies controlling the House of Representatives, these Republicans, because no bill can come to the House floor for a debate or a vote without the permission of the Speaker of the House of Representatives. So people don't understand. You got to study you go to house.gov, learn the rules of how the House of Representatives operates, which is different than the Senate. Okay. This is why back when Representative John Lewis was still alive, and when Paul Ryan, Republican Paul Ryan, was Speaker of the House of Representatives, remember they had a sit-in on the House of Representatives floor trying to force Paul Ryan to take a vote on common sense gun laws. I don't know how many people remember this. They had a sit-in led by John Lewis on the House floor. They never took that vote. Why? Because the Speaker of the House controls this, and he didn't call for the vote. So a lot of times we think these elections are about one person. No, they're not. You have to understand how all this comes together. So we're in for a crazy 2 years, but we need to set this up for Democrats to expand their margin in the Senate, take back control of the House, and maintain the White House as well.
If we look at Black political power, and you and I have had conversations, Brother Michael, when you question, the whole idea of a Black agenda, right? You broke that down very well. I think it was last week when we had you on. You talked about this. But when we talk about looking at 24, if Hakeem Jeffries is looking to be the House Speaker, versus being a presidential candidate, right? He's a rising Black star among the Democrat Party. He could possibly run, or is this too?
He can run, but he's gonna lose. First of all, when we look at those who have been successful in becoming president in the last 50 years, none of them came from the House of Representatives. Meaning, you don't go from being a member of the House of Representatives, where you represent about 710,000 people, to becoming president and you govern 330 million people. That don't even happen for white men. Okay, they're either senators or they're governors. Okay, or they're reality TV stars. They got like 80 million followers on Twitter, something like that. Okay, but usually they're either senators or governors. Okay. If we go back and look, whether we look at George W. Bush, the son, governor of Texas, where we look at Barack Obama, senator from Illinois, if we look at Bill Clinton, governor of Arkansas, okay, this is how this happens. Or they were vice president, as in the case of Joe Biden, and that's the best experience to be president, vice president. You don't go from being Speaker of the House of Representatives to being president of the United States. And you also don't go from being a state representative to being vice president of the United States either. This is why I love Stacey Abrams. No way in the hell Stacey Abrams is going to become vice president. I love my people, but damn, we don't understand how none of this stuff works. No, you don't go from being a state representative, and that's the highest office you've had, and you never worked in the federal government before. This is why Kamala Harris was the best choice. Not only was she a U.S. senator, but she ran the largest Department of Justice in the country outside of the U.S. Department of Justice. That's the Department of Justice in California. You don't go from being in the state legislature to being vice president over 330 million people. The real world does not work like that, even for white men. So this is why we got to understand and stop wasting all this time and confusing activity with productivity and not getting the desired results.
So what should be the expectations that we should have around Hakeem Jeffries over the next 2 years, right? Because these next 2 years after this midterm election, these are going to be pivotal years between 22 and 24, not just because of Trump, just because of the direction that both parties are going in, GOP and Democrats, right? Democrats are still, I just saw a piece on CNN. They said that Jeffries is, that he's becoming a House leader at a time when the Democrat Party is running amok. He's becoming a House leader at a time when the GOP.
The Republican Party is running amok.
Oh yeah, running amok too. That's what I was going to mention.
But the Democratic Party is not running amok. They're more unified. That's why he was not challenged.
Gotcha,
he was not challenged.
But should we expect? I mean, he talked about in his remarks yesterday. He talked about challenging extremism coming from the other side. But should we expect something? Or should Black folks expect something from his under his leadership? As House Minority Leader, should Black folks expect something to come from them that we didn't see from Nancy Pelosi or anyone else?
I think I think he will focus a lot more in on the on policies that benefit African Americans, on how we're harmed, how policies will harm us as well. He'll talk more about how policies coming from Republicans are going to harm us. He's going to highlight the plight of African Americans a lot more. We'll see this. I think he will have a much larger presence on Roland Martin Unfiltered than Nancy Pelosi did as well. Even though I would rather have Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House of Representatives than Kevin McCarthy. Okay, any day of the week. But she didn't do Roland Martin Unfiltered. She did it I think once in the past few years, right? Right. So Representative Hakeem Jeffries will not be somebody who's absent on Roland Martin Unfiltered. You're going to see a presence of him on MSNBC, CNN, things like this, and he will speak much louder about how policies benefit African Americans and various policies that will hurt us as well, especially coming from Republicans. Now, the challenge is going to be getting bills passed. You're going to have to cut some deals with Republicans and focus on how, look, these policies are going to help everybody. Okay. You were not going to be able to get the most progressive policies passed in the House. For instance, the child tax credit. I doubt if you see that getting passed in the House. I don't even know if Kevin McCarthy will let that vote come to the House floor. So these 2 years, this is why I said Democrats really need to maintain control of the House. But it could have been a lot worse. Republicans could have picked up a lot more seats in the House of Representatives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, we're going to take a quick pause on this again. And I'm glad that you just brought up some key points. And, only time is going to tell, Brother Michael, as we know, about how this situation is going to play out. I mean, it's historic, it's monumental, but at the end of the day, we still have to hold our brother accountable. And as you mentioned in your earlier remarks, he's coming from a great line of scholars and thinkers. His uncle, Leonard Jeffries, who I've got you say he's one of your mentors, got a lot of love and respect about the scholarship of Leonard Jeffries. And we know that family has been indoctrinated, for lack of a better word, in the liberation and the struggle of Black folks in this country. So we're going to have to see, because this might open the door, and you tell me if I'm wrong in thinking this way, Brother Michael, but this may open the door for a different form of democratic expression, where it's a little bit more. But I don't know. Maybe I'm jumping the gun, jumping to conclusion.
Well, he's articulate. He's an attorney. He knows how to phrase things, and he's brilliant. Okay. Right. So, but we have to have an agenda. We have to be able to push our agenda the farthest and get the most accomplished, and understand it's going to be an uphill battle trying to get things passed in the House of Representatives. So what we want to do is set things up for 2024 to take back control of the House as well. And put Republicans in a position where they do the least amount of damage. Okay, because these are some crazy people. If you listen to them, you listen to people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. You listen.
Bro,
to
I can't even do it, bro. Michael.
You listen to what they're talking about, what they're planning with the with the investigations, and then at the same time, I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she spoke at the conference that Nick Fuentes organized. Okay, well, Nick Fuentes showed up at he was the guest of Kanye West to have dinner with Donald Trump. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So these are so you have the Republican Party who's totally embraced this white supremacist, white nationalist rhetoric. They are the white nationalist party. So these are things that Hakeem Jeffries and the rest of the Democrats, Representative Pete Aguilar, who's going to be the chairman of the party caucus, and Representative Catherine Clark, Democrat of Massachusetts, who's going to be the House Whip. These are the crazies that Democratic leadership is going to have to deal with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me just get a couple of comments from our online culture crew. Tiana, you said the House Republicans are going to waste time investigating bullshit.
They're going to have a bunch of meaningless. This is going to be Benghazi all over again. They did 7 Benghazi investigations. This is going to be meaningless, and there's going to be overreach, massive overreach from Republicans. It's going to backfire on them. And I think they're going to lose the House in 2024. I think Democrats will maintain control of the White House and the Senate, because they're going to show how crazy they are. And people are going to say, "Oh no, we can't have 2 more years of this."
Right, absolutely. Real Brooklyn, you said other than him being a little too soft on important issues, he seems to be a good dude. I don't know if things he has done or led the way on is enough for me to have confidence he will be impactful. Any thoughts on that, Brother Michael?
Well, he's not in control of the House of Representatives. So he can push agendas, he can highlight our issues, things like this, but the Speaker of the House of Representatives controls which bills come to the House floor for a debate and a vote. Right. And Republicans have the majority. So it looks like they'll probably have 222 seats in the House, and Democrats will have 214. Well, it takes 218 votes to get any bill passed. So if you can't get a bill on the floor, then you can't get it passed. Same thing would be the case with if Nancy Pelosi was the House Minority Leader. Okay, right. Those are the rules of the House. That's why we have to take back control of the House in 2024, because if you can't get bills passed in the House, then you can't get them signed into law.
Absolutely. Dougie Fresh, you said if Trump can be president having never held any elected office, then surely Abrams can be a vice president. Stop saying what others can't do. What you mean is you can't do it.
Well, unless you were president yourself, I don't think. See, once again, Donald Trump was a fluke. He didn't even win the popular vote. This is what happens when you don't understand politics. Donald Trump was a fluke. Donald Trump came into people's homes week after week, year after year on a reality TV show called The Apprentice. Donald Trump was already a household name going back to the 80s before The Apprentice started. Donald Trump had about 80 million followers on Twitter. He had tens of millions of followers on Facebook. Now compare that. I love Stacey Abrams, but I understand how politics works. Compare that to Stacey Abrams' following. Outside of Georgia, we're talking about nationwide. Right. Okay. Look, if she couldn't win the governorship in Georgia, then you think she's going to go from being state representative in Georgia to being vice president? That don't even work for white men. That's not how the real world works. No. And she would have been a better vice president than Mike Pence. Go look at Mike Pence's record. Mike Pence was a member in the House of Representatives. Mike Pence was the governor of Indiana. Pence was put on the ticket to balance out the fact that Donald Trump had no experience in politics. That's why Pence was put on the ticket, because he had experience in writing legislation for the federal government. He had gubernatorial experience. Stacey Abrams, state representative. She doesn't have gubernatorial experience. She doesn't have experience in running a state or a city or anything like that. That stuff, we have to stop dealing with these fairy tales.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate all of the comments that came in from our online culture crew.
Be sure to register for the online history classes that I teach on Saturdays and Tuesdays. On Saturdays, I teach ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. This is a 12-week online class, and we deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. So if you go to our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, and scroll down the homepage, you'll see information about our Sunday night radio show. I'm on Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation WFDF, and Facebook fan page and our YouTube channel as well. And you scroll down, we have the bundle pack for our online classes. There are 2 classes that I teach on Saturdays, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. We teach this on Saturdays, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our next class is Saturday, January 7th, 2023. And we deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. And we also deal with the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors. So this class is on sale $60, regularly $130. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch them anytime. And you can also use this information with your children as well. I would say the content is PG-13. PowerPoint presentation, we have book references, articles, video clips. You'll never see history the same way. And just click right here to register here, and then click on the enroll button. And as soon as you class, you can start watching the content. Okay. So you can watch the previous classes and get caught up and join us in the next class. And then Tuesdays, I teach from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power. And we deal with history from basically 1800 through 1968, 1970. And the class is the same format. And we teach this Tuesdays, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You don't have to stay for the whole class. If you missed the class, that's fine. You can go back and watch it anytime. So we do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch the class a year from now, 2 years from now. You'll still have full access to the class. This class is regularly $130. It's on sale $60. And we have a bundle pack of both classes. It's over $260 value on sale right now for $100. Okay, you can register for both classes. If you've taken any of my online classes in the past, and I've been teaching these going back to 2017 with ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, email us at ahnshow@theafricanhistorynetwork.com, ahnshow@theafricanhistorynetwork.com, and you'll get 50% off the bundle pack. Okay, so you can also email us right through the website as well. At the on the menu at the top of the website, just click on Contact the African History Network, and it takes you to the next page to contact